Hello, beautiful souls, and welcome back to I Care About You, the podcast where we dive deep into the realities of our emotional and mental well-being, our path and purpose, and our relationship to love and self-resilience. I'm your host, Juliana J. I don't even remember my own name. And today we're talking about ending your 2024 story and beginning the 2025 story, and a little exercise that you can do to make that more tangible for yourself. A lot of times we don't really take the time to think about those things. What was our story in 2024? And what is our ideal story for 2025? Or any time something comes to a close and something opens, like a job, for example, starting a new job and ending an old job, or ending an old relationship and starting a new relationship, or any kind of pivotal moment in your life. Just taking time to review and also to imagine the ideal story moving forward, and using that ideal story to create your own goals and desires and dreams to work toward. These are my notes for this particular podcast. There's two things on here I'll tell you about. On this piece of paper, there's a few notes about this podcast. And there's also, I had a dream I won the lottery and I wrote down the lotto numbers. And then I went out and got a lotto ticket, so I'll keep you posted on that. Anyhow, let's get back to talking about a little ritual you can do to end, in this case, it's the old year, and to imagine what the new year can bring for you. So what was your story in 2024? I know for me in 2024, there was some great highlights that were wonderful. There was some moments I've probably already forgotten. And there was some things that were real hardships throughout the year. This is a moment as you write or talk or enter your 2024 story. You do want to record it somehow, not just say, oh yeah, my 2024 story was this, that, this, and that. No. If you're writing about it, try to write at least 3 pages about it. If you're talking about it out loud, try to record it for yourself. However you're going about that. Some people will make a vision board of 2024, let's say, and use images or pictures or sayings or whatnot. And the image board doesn't have to be like this. An image board can be a Pinterest board or a private Instagram account or any of the host of software. But what is your story for 2024? What happened? Take a moment. This isn't about dwelling on any horrible things that might have happened or sad things that might have happened. It's not to re-traumatize yourself or re-trigger yourself. This is just to look at it chronologically. What was this year about? And really concentrating on what did you learn this year? What shifted for you this year? What are new obstacles you're facing, new challenges you're facing, and what challenges did you overcome? And you did overcome challenges, my friend. I know we all like to think of all the bad things that happen when the year closes. We've all gotten into this habit of being like, oh God, I hope 2025 is better than 2024. And, we said that in 2023 and 2022, and it's become this strange mantra that we say. It's creating a self-fulfilling prophecy for yourself that nothing's ever going to change. You're just going to have year after year of tragedy or challenge. And the truth of it is, although there were challenges and tragedies and sadness and disappointment and grief throughout the year, there is also joy and happiness and love and laughter. And you need to balance out your memory of the past year. If all you do is dwell on what went wrong the past year, then you're training your brain to think that your life isn't as glorious as it actually is. So this is an exercise in giving what didn't go right not as much energy as you normally would, and giving what did go right more energy than you would normally give it, having a balancing act. Some people will write out their synopsis of their prior year in kind of a pros and cons list. 2 pieces of paper, they'll write what happened that was fabulous and wonderful, and the pro side and the con side, they might talk about what happened that wasn't so great in the year. And then a 3rd page of what lessons did I learn, what tragedies also gave way to beauty, and what did that look like? And just try to create this holistic picture of your year. It's a really fun thing to do now that we're kind of in the midst of the winter solstice, because it is this turning on the light again and letting go of the darkness. So we're in this dark space right now, but we're starting to see more light. And it's the perfect time to chronicle your year 2024. And you can take a few days to do that. For me, I can't write all about the entire year in one sitting because, as I said, I'll forget about small things that I want to remember and write about. And also, I too will think of all the bad things that happened in 2024. Some are very fresh in our minds still. And I need to space it out in order to just barf out all that negative stuff, to be quite honest. I got to get it out. So I do start with those negative moments. What was wrong in 2024? What didn't I like about 2024? What sucked? And I write that all down first because I think it's good to get that out of you and somewhere else. I times I will use a Google Doc and sometimes I will write on actual paper. And sometimes it's a combination of both. This year it's a combination of both. Right now I'm in the midst of writing down all the tragic, bad, uncomfortable, challenging, stressful moments of 2024. And I like to get that off my plate first so then I can concentrate on what was beautiful about 2024, what was amazing, what wonderful things happened in 2024 for me personally, for my community, for the world, for nature, for in the cosmos. What happened in 2024 that was also joyous, happy, wonderful, worked out? I mean, my book was published in 2024. That was a lifelong dream for me. It's been wonderful to go on book tours and do speaking and talk with folks about the subjects in that book and have people contact me and talk to me about what the book meant for them. It's been really, really a wonderful, amazing, wow kind of experience. And so that will definitely take center stage in my 2024, what was amazing. That's your first chunk. What's your story from 2024? What happened? What's your story? January, February, March, April, May. What what happened every month and what is your story there? If you journal, you can look back in your journal and kind of remind yourself. Some people do it 2024 in dreams, which is really great if they keep a dream journal and then they preface it with what was happening in their regular life. Like I had this dream on January 24th, 2024, and this happened. So this dreams, the symbols in this dream actually had some truth because this thing happened that coincided with the symbols in the dream, or it didn't happen like that. Take some time, about 3 days to a week maybe, of this last week of December to write about your story in 2024. Now, part two of this exercise is to write about your dream self in 2025. What would your ideal self be doing, be experiencing, be changing, be growing, be keeping the same? What is your ideal 2025? And you'll find that a lot of maybe your 2025 New Year's goals, or some people like to call them, what is that, your New Year's resolutions, will kind of bubble to the surface as you are defining what is the ideal 2025 you. What are you doing? What is new and exciting? What are you going to learn this year? What are you going to change this year? What are you going to shift this year? What's going to stay the same? What do you hope will happen? What are your biggest dreams that will happen? A lot of people start this part of the exercise in just outlining who they are as a person. If people are very concerned with things like their health or losing weight, those kinds of physical sort of attributes, they might start there. And that also plays into mental attributes too, right? So say you want to get healthy and run a marathon in 2025, you're a marathon runner, you're a runner. You actually run this many miles, this many days a week, and map it all out exactly what that is. In January, I started just running around the neighborhood. In February, I started doing this. In March, I started training for a marathon and I ran this particular marathon. You might have to do a little research here to kind of map out who you are in 2025. You might also have things like, I'm going to finally learn how to watercolor paint or draw, or I'm going to finally upgrade my skills for work. I am going to learn something wonderful for myself, a new hobby. What is it? What do you want to learn? What do you want to do? Think about all those things and start with your physical and mental state and what is the ideal you in those areas of life. You might also have goals like, I want to move this year, get a new job, ask for promotion, get a new car. You might want to start thinking about shifting your life in a way. There's all kinds of things, and you can sort of categorize it out. Here's my physical and mental attributes. I want to learn these things. My goals are this, and map out exactly what that goal is. If you want a new job, what is the new job? What is the ideal self doing in 2025? That's part of it. The ideal self got a big promotion and a $30,000 raise, and they're doing this now. The ideal me graduates from college and does this, graduates from high school and does this, finds a dream job straight out of the gate, and it looks like this and it feels like this, and this is what I do. I go to work these days, I work this much, I do this stuff, I learn that. Be as specific as you can about what your ideal self and your ideal life is. That will create this other sort of manifestation presence in your 2025. Instead of just hitting 2025 and autopiling it through the first 3 months and then thinking you want something different and then scrambling for whatever that is. And then by the middle of the year, you've let go of any goals or resolutions you had because it's all too hard. And now you're settling and now you're going into the winter and it's too cold. And you just wait till next year. And a lot of us fall into that plan very easily, that just that way of being year after year. Why? Because we don't take the time to map out the year for ourselves. What will 2025 bring for you? What is your ideal self in 2025? If you never take the time to figure out what that is, to journal it, to write it down, to record it, to somehow really dive deep into that, you flounder a lot of the times. And you end up feeling like you didn't accomplish much. And now another year's gone by and you wasted it. In this moment, I just want to remind you that none of it is ever wasted, even if you take 3 weeks just laying on the couch because you're so burnt out, you have to. That's not wasting time. That's rejuvenating. That's taking care of yourself. Of course, you can lay on the couch for 3 weeks and it isn't rejuvenating. It's something else. And that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about sometimes you need to give yourself some rest so that you can rejuvenate and get back out there. And that is okay. That is okay. So, what would your ideal self be? What would your ideal self be doing? You can even create categories for yourself. What's your ideal self look like and feel like? What's your ideal self working on? What goals does your ideal self have? Or if you don't have any goals, just started writing the other things. What does your house look like? What does your job look like? What does school look like? What does your finances look like? What would be an ideal situation? And then trace that backwards and create goals. If your ideal self is a marathon runner, like I said, trace that back to how that would become a possibility. Is it, signing up for a marathon and then spending 4 months or training about it? But before you sign up for the marathon, you take 2 months to just start running again. And the first thing you do is the first week in January, you go out and buy a pair of running shoes and gear so that you're prepared to start running. And maybe you get into a running group. Let me tell you, there's lots of running groups out there that are totally free, that are usually put on by different running stores. And those stores are athletic wear stores, usually have a weekly running group that's totally free. I trained for a marathon using one of those, or started running again actually, and ended up training for marathons. And that's what got me started, was that free weekly running program at a store that sold athletic gear. Trace back this ideal self, trace it back to what are the stepping stones to that ideal? What can you do? If your ideal is a huge, big dream, I don't have a problem with dreaming big. A lot of people will say you should never dream big because that's a big letdown. I think that the people we all admire are big dreamers. I think if they weren't dreaming big, they wouldn't have what they have right now. So dreaming big is important. It becomes hard when you don't understand how to go from where you are now to what that big dream is, or that along the way, an even better dream might present itself, and it's okay to then pursue that instead. Along the way to being a writer, you might fall in love, or you might find another vocation you love even more, or a hobby that you're passionate about, and that ends up being your vocation. There's a lot of side avenues along the way to these big, big dreams, and that's the journey, right? The journey is traveling to your dreams and aspirations and finding the gifts that are along the way, along the road, sometimes going backwards and sometimes going forwards or sideways or upside down. It's a journey. As they say, it's not a destination. There you have it. This is just a little year-end ritual, if you like. It's a year-end exercise of closing out 2024 and embracing 2025 the best we can. And you can also do some troubleshooting things. If you really think in 2025, in January, this big thing is happening, and I know it's going to be really hard emotionally, mentally, I'm really worried about it. What would your ideal self do in that moment? What would your ideal self do? And I'm not talking about doing something vindictive or weird. I'm talking about how would your ideal self handle the situation with grace and understanding and also honoring themselves. So what might you do? And it kind of helps prepare you. If you know something's happening in 2025, you know it's going to be hard. Your ideal self might do X, Y, and Z, and you can write that all down. And then you have a game plan for when that does happen, rather than being blindsided, not handling it right, or not knowing what to do, or doing the wrong thing and then obsessing about that for the rest of the year because you made this big mistake. We all do that. That's just really, really common. If you do that, cut yourself some slack. It's totally okay, but just get back on there and come up with a plan for yourself. If you are prepared, you can handle things so much better. What was your story for 2024? Write it down and let's hear all about it. And what is your ideal self in 2025? What's the ideal 2025? Write it all down or record it somehow and refer back to it when the things happen that you think, oh, what was I going to do for that? Or what would my ideal self do? If you're training for a marathon or something like that, sometimes you just need reassurance and going back and looking at it and going, oh yeah, I had a plan. I can do this. I can become this. This is just a manifesting technique that some people call scripting. So it's writing out your ideal life and living into it as though you already are that. That is part of manifesting what you want in life. So, my dear lovely friends, I wish you this transformational end of the year. I really love that word transformational because we all have the power to transform. Remember that you have the power to transform. You do. I do. Everyone does. And no one else has your power, your dream, your ideal self for 2025. No one else has it. It lies with you. Manifesting that dream is yours, and you can transform. You do have the power, but you have to put action behind it. And that's what this is. The beginning is a game plan for 2025. If you found this episode helpful, please share it with somebody that might need to hear it. You can also do this exercise with someone else. Sometimes that's really fun, especially if you have mutual goals for 2025. You also have a buddy who can help you stay on track. You can help each other stay on track. So doing this exercise with somebody is beneficial because they know what your ideal 2025 is and you know their ideal 2025, and y'all can help one another. And we all need support, right? If you want to dive deeper into self-care and personal growth, don't forget to subscribe and like, depending on your platform, to I Care About You so you never miss an episode. Order my book, Reasons to Live, on my website, which I'll link in the description, for more practice on learning to navigate dark times and to help others through dark times. And until next time, remember, you are loved and your journey matters. It matters, my dear friends. So take good care of yourself and know that I love you and I support you and we're all in this together. We're not alone. So have a happy, happy last week of December. Take care, my friends.